Tapping her black gloved fingers on the table was all Lunar Blaze could do. She had arrived through a portal seeking her sister, the vaunted ghost comet of a heroic team called Walkers of the Storm. Upon arrival, she had been escorted to an interrogation room. Of all the things Ghost had told her of Morin, the last thing she had expected was suspicion and ire. For an hour, an odd human in a white coat asked her an array of questions about her people, the Genshin. At first, Blaze had been happy to answer, but after a time, the odd human seemed preoccupied with something on a digitized tablet. The strange interrogation ended as the tablet began to flash red. Moments after, the human rushed from the room. The lights went out. Darkness did not intimidate Blaze, as she was able to see clearly. Oddly, when the lights went out, her vision seemed to drain of color. Knowing something of dimensional travel, she wondered if some accident had shifted the room, or even more, someplace anew. Blaze stood, which allowed her long black cape to extend and flow in an unseen wind. Walking over to the door, she tried to turn the knob and found it had been locked by the odd human. Not wishing to waste time, Lunar summoned the dark flame that called back to her name. Gripping the knob, she waited while the cold wrecked the inner workings of the lock within. Not long after, the entire knob dropped to the ground, shattering into pieces. The door slowly creaked open, revealing a dark office beyond. Everyone that had been milling about was gone. "Help me," whispered a voice from somewhere, causing Lunar to look back into the room. Seeing no one, she stepped out. As her first step landed, the bland color schemes were broken by brownish streaks of electricity on the wall. The image of an arrow appeared for a moment, pointing to the left. "Am I still in Avalon?" Lunar asked of the disembodied voice that seemed to be all behind the arrow. But she needed to be sure. "No," the voice responded. "Please help me." "Where are you?" Again, electricity formed an arrow on the wall, pointing the way. This time it was a bit further along. Flexing her black-gloved hand, Lunar began following the whisper. Whatever was guiding her must be utilizing whatever strength it had. Forcing others through a dimensional shift was no easy task. It was a strain on Lunar's own people, which is why they almost never tried to bring others. "Sister," Lunar muttered, "I am sad to say our reunion will still be a time in arriving." For a long moment, Never looked up into the eyes of Aurora, all four of them. "The last thing I remember was arriving in Avalon to meet my mother for dinner. She's a scientist in the biometrics quarter. Half the things she says goes right over my horns. I remember saying goodnight to her, heading to my room, the elevator ride, then waking up here with the lights out." "Seems you have a solution for that," Aurora said, glancing over the equipment in the room. The young heroic was not the first Ifrit she had met, but she was the first Gust Ifrit. "I found myself on a lab table. There was an open window back there. We could go try to get outside through it." "Good a plan as any," Never said, motioning for Aurora to lead the way with a quick bow. Together, the two traversed the hallways back to the lab. Never summoned a small orb of swirling light to illuminate their path. Aurora could see fine in the dark, but she suspected the young Ifrit would have some difficulty. When they arrived, the room was as it had been left. The window was still open, allowing for a slight draft to greet them. "It is large enough for us to get through," Aurora said, before climbing up. "I can pull you up if you need assistance." "Life form of Gust Ifrit designated Nevernight," the chip chimed in her head. Visual approximation of heroic's age places her in her 30s. Very young for Ifrit. "Who said that?" Never asked, backing away from Aurora's outstretched hand. I was wondering if you might be able to hear my new friend, Aurora said, keeping her hand stretched for Never to take. I woke up with a cybernetic implant at the back of my skull. It seems to be regulating my synaptic functions. I call it boop, because it's like a little bump at the back under my hair. Now, let's get outside. Reaching out to Aurora, her hand shaking a little, Never allowed herself to be pulled up to the edge of the window. Once there, she climbed up and peered out before jumping back down to the lab floor. You may want to look outside before taking too big a leap of faith. Pulling herself up, Aurora looked outside and found only dark gray clouds all around. There were no trees, no rock formations, no ground to be seen. Like Never, she also dropped back into the lab. Where are we? Boop. Do you have any ideas? Exterior reading indicate that we are in the dimensional landscape known as the Hollow, Boop replied. The Hollow is a plane of existence that mirrors reality, but suspends some properties such as the flow of time and light refraction. As a caution, magical properties tend to increase in potency in the Hollow, which would explain why my wind magic is a bit stronger than it normally is, Never said. The type of light show I had going would have exhausted me back in our dimension. It also explains why everything seems so drab and dull, Aurora said. Additional question for you, Boop. Is there an easy way back to our dimension? For several minutes, the strange companion in Aurora's head was silent. But there was something that urged her to be patient. It was then that Boop put forth a response. Access and departure from the Hollow can only be achieved through arrival points or temporal recalibration. With that, I will see you in the near future, and thank you for listening.